well is joining in on the show. Sandip, maybe we can start off with your take as to what's going on with respect to Wipro. The fact that it's not just the first time, there has always been a lot of uncertainty with respect to the top position at Wipro. Do you think that even with the new CEO that the improvement or the progress is going to be gradual? How do you expect the stock to react?
I think it will be a gradual process. I think it's been a continuous musical chairs kind of thing at Wipro where a new CEO comes in, the company continues to underperform. Their choice of CEOs also has been suspect, where they have tried to hire expats, etc., which find it tough to adjust to maybe managing the company. So I think that was the issue, and insider taking over uh, could actually be more positive than what I think most of the analysts are putting out. So the IT outsourcing industry is facing challenges in terms of demand. That's there, but then we this could incrementally be positive in my view. I don't think this is incrementally negative. I see all analysts giving sales on Wipro today. Most of the analysts. I'm not so sure about that. So I think this could be something to be tracked.
The point I'm just making again, I'll just say it for the benefit of our viewers. Okay, look at TCS. Just 3 CEOs. Now the fourth one. Ramadurai, Chandra, Rajesh, and now, Kirti Srinivasan. Shivat. So just think about the current tenure of TCS. 25 years and just 4 CEOs. Similarly, accepting the Vishal Sikka episode for Infosys, they've had a very smooth transition from Mr. Murthy to Nandan to Krish Gopalakrishnan to Shibu Lal. Then came the Vishal Sikka era, and now Salil Parekh. Companies where CEOs, in a sense, have not been very visionary, or they have not been very critical in terms of changing and understanding the landscape, those stocks have underperformed. And another cases point here is Tech Mahindra, but they've always struggled at the top in terms of getting the right fit for the right company. So I think this is very, very crucial. Similarly for Bandhan Bank, Sandeep, it's more like a different kind of a story. The founder and the face of Bandhan Bank is Mr. Ghosh. And whatever may be the internal compulsion or external pressure, the fact that he's decided not to renew his third term, even before we've heard from Reserve Bank of India, could be a clear indication of something is not going right.
Yeah, I would think so because it seems very clear that main reason could be some reservation from the regulator, although we are not privy to that. Otherwise, when the board had approved his extension, there was no reason for him to step down. And given that this move could be a bit sudden because people expected him to continue, so I think it could create uncertainty around the stock and there could be some issues related to the balance sheet, etc., which we don't know about, which RBI was concerned about. So I think things need to get clarified over a period of time. So at this point of time, there's no reason to buy the stock.
You're busy these days, Sandeep. Where are you shopping? Where are you picking your spots in this market?
So lately, in terms of new stocks and no major additions except for a couple of 2-3 months back, we started accumulating more of VIP Industries. We had bought Voltas earlier, but that shot up. And V-Guard Industries, one on the consumer durable sides, that is still not very high up. It hasn't rallied too much from where we actually entered. And I think that's a company in a good spot where their Sunflame acquisition is turning around and the core business also seems to be doing good. So I think these two stocks I still think have value. Overall markets look extended in terms of valuation. So I think we have to be very picky what we buy.
Okay, fair enough. It was interesting that we were flagging off some of the updates from the FMCG companies with respect to their Q4 numbers, and retail jewelry is seeing some growth. It looks like the demand gap as well as narrowing in rural versus urban. And all in all, there has been an expansion in terms of their margins as well. Where is it that you're finding comfort, or have there been any observations, Sandeep, with respect to the kind of Q4 commentary as to what that could hold in terms of earnings for some of these FMCG majors?
So, in terms of FMCG companies, obviously the demand is slow. So the only company which has been sort of an outlier has been Godrej Consumer as well as Tata Consumer. So I think, and those stocks have actually also done very well. And Godrej Consumer has continued to report decent numbers. So I think that's where people interest in the short run could be. Uh, I find Dabur into good value zone now after its sell-off post the reporting of the fourth quarter trends. I would think that here we could see some decent appreciation. Otherwise, this is one segment actually we should have keep a look on, because when things are bad, that's the only time you get these stocks at somewhat reasonable valuations.
Any other Q4 update which stands out in your book, Sandeep?
I think Titan is the one which always stands out because they continue to do extraordinarily well at the in the midst of challenging consumer sentiment. So I think they have a strategy, and that strategy is working well for them, and that's the reason that stock also, despite very high valuation, continues to hold on. So I think this is one update which is reasonable. Most of the banks, ex of HDFC Bank, have reported decent numbers quarter on quarter in terms of credit growth. And deposit growth also has picked up, which is comforting, because the credit deposit ratio going too high was becoming a concern. So I think that's something which has been good.
Okay, there you have it. That's the view coming in. In the meantime, just want to take stock.
Think about it, where we were in the month of March versus where we are right now. I mean, flows have not been gangbusters, global cues have not been exceptionally strong, crude's not been on the right side, but Nifty at an all-time high, Bank Nifty about to make an all-time high, mid-cap indices and small-cap indices, they are 1-2% away from their highs. Now, March was all about, or January, February, March was all about euphoria, excitement, participation, bubble, trouble, everything which in a sense we've used to describe an extended market. We were using those words freely. Then came this 10 days of ugly patch. But from that, the recovery has been quite extraordinary. And Sandeep, it's not puzzling. That's how I think markets are. That's the nature of the market. They will get extended, they will surprise you. But what to your mind has led to this rally? It's not been institutional money. It's not been strong news trigger. It's not been strong global cues. It's the sheer brute force of local liquidity, and that is just mesmerizing.
So I think there are two things. One is the liquidity on the domestic part. Second, that the overall global construct also has been positive. Like ex of the last 1 or 2 days of sell-off, if you see the US indices, S&P, Nasdaq, or most of the European indices, or the revival, what's happening in Japanese equities, etc., and the revival from the bottom in China, all of them has been very strong revivals. So I would still think that a large part of that has been actually due to international cues, where strength has persisted despite, like you rightly said, very strong commodity rally. Concerns around food inflation in India going into summers, obviously there, given the reservoir positions across the country. So I think markets have been ignoring a lot of negatives. For how long they'll keep on ignoring that, that's the question mark, because obviously these are headwinds which will impact equity valuation at some stage.
Well, I'd like to remind our viewers that Bandhan Bank, the management will be talking to us exclusively in moments from now. I mean, what really has prompted Mr. Ghosh or CS Ghosh not to extend his tenure? Is it something from regulator which has come in? We don't know. Is it something which he feels that he needs to now create a new energy and a new leadership at the top? We'll try and understand from him. But for the moment, be rest assured that today the stock could come under pressure, so to speak. Markets otherwise are looking okay. What is giving this large leap of faith for banks again? It's HDFC Bank. And Sandeep, I was just looking at the trouble point for HDFC Bank, and that was they were not getting liabilities. To put it simply for our viewers, they were not getting low-cost deposit. Their last quarterly upgrade seems to be impressive. They are consciously bringing the growth down and increasing their liabilities.
Yeah, so it was essential. I think under market pressure, they were not doing it because they were trying to sustain and show growth at historical levels, which has got adjusted now. So I think the quarter-on-quarter growth is, I think, the worst among all banks, small and bad, from whatever updates I've seen till now. And the moot point here, Nikunj, is that the deposits they would have raised would not be low cost because the fixed deposit rates are high. So deposit acquisition would have happened at higher rates. Growth has slowed down. So that will further impact margin. So there's a lot of excitement just because people believe that some flows will come in because of FI stake going below particular levels, which by itself is a strange argument because if FIs have been selling so much, then for people to come and expect that like the passive buying will have to happen if the index changes happen. But will the rest of the FI basket, which was selling so aggressively, stop doing that? That's something we need to see. So I think it's a work in progress, HDFC Bank, and we have to see how it goes.
Going unnoticed, that's HDFC Bank at about 1549. Other than that, within the metal space, you had Tata Steel, and with respect to their deliveries, that grew about 11% sequentially. It's been pretty much in line. The crude steel production as well has been stable. Meantime, Shyam Metallics, it's been a bit weak in terms of their overall volume sequentially. For sponge iron, that has been down about 7%, and realizations too have declined. Wonder what your stance is within metals, Sandeep?
I think in metals, what we've seen globally is that there's been a sharp revival. So I think that's leading to the up move in most of these stocks, which should have, which would happen if the Chinese economy starts stabilizing. There'll be some uptick in obviously commodity prices. So I think, and these stocks are heavily underowned. Like after 2-3 years of downward trends, not many people like own many of the metal stocks, X of the PSU stocks, which have had their own rally. So I think to that extent, how much this global rally will sustain in commodity, that's again a question mark. So I would be neutral after this kind of rally.
Okay.
Kunal, let's talk about
Space actually bottoming out after last year or last few quarters, which have been quite beleaguered, not just domestic, but at a global level. Do you see any opportunity, and a sizable one at that, within the chemical sector?
I personally don't think so because I think from the bottom, obviously, there's a revival. So somehow there'll be a bounce back in many of these stocks. But the moot issue remains a huge global overcapacity, and the fact that most of these stocks don't trade at cheap valuations. Like many of the chemical stocks, because of the earnings fall which has happened over the last 2 years, still trade at valuations of 30-40 price earning ratio. And being cyclical industries, they don't actually deserve these kind of valuations.
I just want to go back to Vodafone idea. And Sandeep, they're trying to revive the business. Revive is not the word survive. Now, this is a stock where typically our viewers, they always get excited. 13 rupees ka hai, how much to lose? You know, if it goes 20, it could be a 70-88% upside. And that, in a sense, is something which typically a day trader or a positional trader always feeds on. Low on ticket, high on probability, huge on risk, and liquid in terms of size. How would you approach Vodafone?
I wouldn't approach at all because I don't think this company will ever make profits. So if a company will never make profits, what will the shareholders ever get out of it? So that's the question people need to ask. Speculative activity is quite strong in the markets, and any stock can go anywhere because of just speculation. But then there is no intrinsic value.
That's the take coming in on Vodafone. But Sandeep, within the sort of feared names right now in the market, any opportunity that you see? And I'm going to throw in a Paytm, RBL Bank, etc. over here.
Normally, I'm an advocate of contrarian buying, except in financials. So I think in financials, we should not be doing that, where regulatory issues, balance sheet issues, or any other such aspects come in. Because here, they are not like now, like a consumer business, they are going through very good, bad time. They got strong brand. You know that this could be somewhere near the bottom. In financial, you can't predict that. So I would not try to do that.
All right, Sandeep, appreciate your time and thank you for joining us. While the weather is changing, you could hear that in Nuresh's voice.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.